All right, guys, as you can see, we got our big turbo installed on this thing. Now we're gonna move on to installing some head studs in this bad boy. So one of the problems that you run into once you start turning up the boost and stuff on these motors is the head will want to lift. That's how you get blown head gaskets and all that stuff. So get some ARP head studs, put those bad boys in there, keep that head locked down nice and tight. Don't have any problems. Okay. Another thing we're gonna be doing is installing some fuel pump and fuel injectors. So that way we can supply this thing with all the fuel that it needs for all the extra boost that we're gonna be throwing at it. So stay tuned, we'll get to it. All right, so we got the valve cover off. First thing you need to do is get this thing to top dead center. Easiest way to do this is to go ahead and take off your clutch cover. And you're gonna rotate that primary until you see these little hash marks. See right there where it's got a little line and it says I underneath it on the cam gear? Same thing down there, I. Then over there it says E and E. Those all need to be lined up. Once those all line up, that's top dead center. At that point, you can take out your chain tensioner, just the 2 bolts, not the center bolt. Take out your chain tensioner, and then you'll start taking off the cam guides or the saddles or whatever you want to call it, the seats. And you want to remember to mark your chain. Mark your chain, mark your gears, so that way you know where everything goes when you put it back together. Don't forget that step. All right, we're going to first take off these 2 top bolts here. Now these are going to remove this little top plate, exposing the top of the cam gear. This is going to allow us to mark the gear. All right, guys, so now that we got the cover moved off, we went ahead and made our marks. So now we got marks on the chain, marks on the gears. So now we're gonna know exactly how this thing goes back on. It's gonna take out all the guesswork. So let's keep on going and getting to taking this thing apart. All right, here's something to keep in mind. This chain tensioner, make sure you're pulling the bolt out, the plunger bolt and the spring. That way you can actually retract the chain tensioner all the way into its normal position. Then what you'll do is when you put this back, you'll reseat it in its place, and then you'll put the spring and the bolt back in at the end. That'll take all the tension out of the chain. All right, so now that we've got the chain tensioner and that top piece removed, we're gonna go ahead and remove the other 2 pieces. So we got this one right here on the front of the cam, on the front of the cams, and then we've got these 2 saddles that go over top of the cams here. A total of 8 bolts, and those 2 there. So we got 10 more to go, and then these cams should come right out of here. Okay, next step is getting them cams out of there. Make sure you're putting an extension or something in there underneath your chain so you don't lose it. And if you do happen to drop it, just make sure you got a magnet handy or something. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and remove all of these head studs. There's 6 of them, looking like 6. So we're gonna remove these bad boys and replace them one by one. Let's get to it. For reference, just so you guys know, the torque sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So make sure you start with number 1 first. Just do that one first. The ARP instructions say to torque to 85 foot-pounds in 3 equal measurements. So basically we're gonna do 28 pounds, 56 pounds, then 85 pounds, and then we're done and we'll move on to the next stud. All right, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see me do this or not, but I'm gonna show you guys how I do this whole torque sequence. And hopefully you can see everything. All right, so right now, I got myself a super long extension. That way it's really easy for me to just get some leverage on this thing. Right now I got it set at 28 foot-pounds. This is gonna be the first sequence. So we're gonna go ahead and just slowly tighten her down. We lubricated our bolts. Boom, one little snap. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this wrench and we're gonna turn it on up to 56. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and give this thing a twist with 56 foot-pounds. I felt it stretch. Boom. Okay, now we're gonna remove this and we're gonna put on the big dog. And this big one here is actually 85 foot-pounds. It's gonna be our final sequence here. Oh man, I hate doing this. Oh, there she goes. And now we move on to the next one. Okay, so we've got all our head studs in. We just placed our camshafts in position. And then we came over here and verified that our marks still matched up. So our marks on our chain and our marks on our cams. So that way we're not any teeth off. Now we can go ahead and put our little holders back in, our little cam holders back in, and yeah, be able to clean this thing up and finish up. Okay, it's the next day, and the next thing we gotta tackle is the cam chain tensioner. And we actually broke the gasket on this thing, so I got some gasket material here and a ball peen hammer. We're gonna go ahead and get our outline for our gasket, and then I'm gonna cut this thing out real quick. Get this thing put back in there. Pretty simple stuff. Got the chain tensioner back in. I had to cut out my own gasket, but pretty easy stuff, not a big deal. Just get that done. Make sure you do the 2 outside bolts first, then put your spring in last. And now we're gonna move on to the injectors right there. Okay, so here's something that I decided to do. I'm gonna do the fuel pump first. Reason for that is it's gonna allow me to depressurize the fuel system down here at the bottom by the tank. A lot less of a mess right on top of the engine. So I'm gonna do the fuel pump first. We'll get that swapped out, pretty easy, and then we'll move on to the injectors. So moving on here to the fuel pump, you're gonna have this rubber cap. I actually just took these and grabbed them from this side and pulled it up. And then what you're gonna do is these things actually run through this cap. So you're gonna disconnect this electronic connector here, and then you've got 2 clips, 2 fuel lines. You're gonna go ahead and remove those. Remember which way they go on, and then you'll be able to remove this cap out of the way. Then we'll proceed on. All right, I'm trying to record as much as I can, guys. I'm only one guy. I'm only one person. I'm doing this all by myself. All right, so yeah, we got the fuel lines disconnected. We got that little hat off. I used a Wonder Bar and a hammer to get the collar loose. We just got that spun up, and now I'm about to pull out the entire fuel pump, but I gotta put the phone down for that, and let's get this thing out, put it on the table. All right, guys, so here's what we got. I just what I did was I went ahead and I took the stock pump out. There's a little plastic piece that comes around the bottom of the pump here. If you just cut that plastic piece out, it makes it a lot easier to get out. And then you can use the same terminals to put this pump back on. And then all you got to do is connect your hose, put the pump back up into place, and then I'm just going to put a zip tie around the bottom of it. And then this whole unit will be able to go back into the unit. This unit will go back into that unit. All right, let's get it. All right, guys, well, I really screwed up. I didn't film the part of me putting the fuel pump back in there, so pretty self-explanatory. So let's move on to the fuel injectors. Basically what we're gonna do here is we're gonna remove, there's 2 8mm bolts. You gotta remove those, then remove the clips, and basically the fuel injectors should come right out. So let's get to it, get that handled, and get this project done. Literally, easy stuff. So now that we got that done, we're gonna just start putting this exhaust back on. And yeah, so got a couple bolts up there we gotta do. We gotta put a couple little heat shields back on. Put the O2 sensor back in. I got a little ground wire right there I gotta hook up. And then hook up the rest of this exhaust. Should be done in no time. All right, guys, so we went ahead and finished installing all the exhaust stuff. Now what we're doing is actually installing the tune. We're getting all this stuff ready so that way I can go in and make the adjustments on the injector scaling, and then should be able to fire this thing up. The only thing I'm concerned about is if I hook the power leads up on the fuel pump wrong. I'm not 100% sure if I hooked them up the right way. If I didn't hook them up the right way, we're not gonna have any fuel pressure. And if we ain't got fuel pressure, it's gonna be real easy fix. So all we'd have to do is take the fuel pump out and switch the leads around. So hopefully that's not the issue. Hopefully we don't have any issues. And wish me luck. All right, we've gone ahead, we've made our adjustments. Turbo S, big turbo, revision 1. It should say 93 octane instead of 91. Let's see what it does. Wish me luck, guys. This is the first time we've done anything like this when it comes to, like, you know, putting big turbo on a Razor and stuff like that. So we're gonna call it here. Tomorrow I'm gonna fire this thing up, take it for a cruise, and we'll see how she performs. You guys ready? Let's see if we can't fire this thing up. I'm so freaking pumped. I couldn't sleep all night last night. What we did was we went ahead, we took all the tuning stuff off of Ashley's RS1. We threw it right back over here onto the Turbo S just to make sure that everything is dialed in the way it's supposed to. I did a couple rotations of the primary clutch down here just to make sure that timing didn't jump or anything like that. So we're good in that. So now we got to do the fun stuff. I got my dyno jet hooked up here. And yeah. I'm gonna bring you out here. Wish me luck. Hear that fuel pump? Make sure it's reading everything. I almost think that fuel pump might be backwards. It doesn't sound like it's building any pressure. Because the engine sounds like it wants to start, but it sounds like it's only wanting to start just from the... I don't even know. Let's keep working. I'm just gonna try this one more time. I'm just gonna keep running this thing and cycling it until I... Sounds like it's running backwards. Maybe not. I think it's running backwards. I'm gonna switch those leads on it, see what happens. Man, talk about a buzzkill. So yeah, I'm just currently taking this bad boy back out and I'm gonna switch those leads around. Basically, I think I got the leads switched around backwards. So basically the motor's spinning the opposite direction. So all it's doing is it's trying to push fuel back into the tank. So we're gonna flip it around. It's gonna go the other direction and should pressurize the fuel system. I had this same thing happen to me when I built this little freaking four-wheeler over here. So all is well. Just keep that in the back of your mind. If your buggy doesn't start right up after you've done everything step by step, it's probably this. All right, y'all. Make or break time. Let's see if we got it. Let's see if this sounds any different. Oh, that's pumping fuel now. One, two, three. Come on, girl. Come on, girl. I need to figure out what okay, that fuel pump's pumping now. I'm gonna try something else. All right, sitting up here looking at the injector tables and stuff, and I think I might have just done the math problem wrong. I think I might have assumed that the injector size for my machine was slightly smaller than what it actually is. So we went ahead, redid the math problem, redid the scaling tables, and now we're going to try it again. All right, y'all, so I'm updating the tune right now. We're sitting at 45%. And then we'll get the garage opened and we'll fire this thing up. My heart is beating so bad, so fast right now. Flash complete. Turn off. Open the garage, please. All right, we'll turn it back on. All right, guys, let's try this again. 3, 2, 1. Okay. The only other thing I could think of is that I had the fuel pump hooked up correctly originally, and now I hooked it in backwards, and I had the injectors scaling done incorrectly with the fuel pump hooked up correctly initially. So I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna change the fuel pump back, and then we'll try it again. It can't be anything else. I don't know what else it could be. The fucking thing, it fired up for a split second there. I don't know what's going on. We'll see. All right, y'all. So apparently when I hooked up that fuel pump the other way around, we popped a fuse. So make sure if you don't hear the fuel pump coming on, check your 7.5 amp fuse and replace if needed. Let's go and get this garage open. See if we can make this happen. All right. Hopefully I figured it out. Hopefully we got it figured out now. So gone over everything. Fuel pump's back on. Come on now. Little stumped, guys. Little stumped. I'm gonna check this fuel line. I'm gonna check for pressure and see if it's fucking spitting fuel. I don't know what else to do at this point. Okay, let's try it again. Well, guys, I went and did a little test drive with it. It freaking runs. It's not running great yet. I got to make a couple little revisions, get the whole boost curve tidied up and everything, but we got it. It runs. We're done. So, yeah, I'm going to do another video another time. and go over a little bit more of the tuning aspect of things. But for right now, I think I'm just gonna go for a little cruise and enjoy this thing. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you share this stuff with your friends. We'll see you guys on the next one.